All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth with Ben Jokes. A magistrate court in Ekiti has struck out a defamation case against activist Dele Farotimi following withdrawal of suit. And that is it. Areafe Babalola has kept to his words to withdraw the defamation suit against activist Dele Farotimi. And I remember saying here, during the whole saga that Dele Farotimi had won the case. I said we should just sit back, relax, and watch as different dimensions of his victory unfold. And of course, some APC supporters came into the comments to argue as usual. They said Dele would rot in jail because he didn't have any evidence. But today, we are all witnessing the victory of Dele Farotimi, and it was a victorious day for another obedient as Per Adebanjo bows out in style. Look at this. Just in, Afenifere leader Ayo Adebanjo dies at 96. An honorable life, a life well spent. Baba's last notable event on earth was standing on the side of good as he backed Peter Obi in the 2023 presidential elections. So, Baba Ayo Adebanjo, may God receive your wonderful soul. Now, let us look at today's top stories. Angry northern protesters burnt down the palace of an emir over the failure of the TINUBU government. All the emirs who were paid to help TINUBU rig elections might have to run for their dear lives now with the worsening performance of this government. And the next story is that heavy indictment of the TINUBU regime coming all the way from the United States of America. And it is from the unlawfully detained Binance official. The man has now started calling names. He named a lawmaker, Philip Agbese. He named the SSS. And he also named RIBADU, detailing their involvement in a $150 million scam. As a matter of fact, he said RIBADU is eyeing TINUBU's job. Seeing all these, do you still wonder why Canada and the rest of the world does not respect Nigeria? Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you the tears of one of TINUBU's ministers over the rejection of the Chief of Defense Staff by the Canadian Embassy. Let's watch Minister of Interior Olubunmi Ojo react to the rejection of the Chief of Defense Staff and the reactions of RIBADU. See the video.
But I want to be able to get your thoughts, because one of the criticisms that we've heard from that particular event was that the language that was used by the NSA, many people online and in many fora, they've said it wasn't very complimentary, that phrase, go to hell.
Well, I think we should not, I think we should talk more of the action rather than the reaction. And that's my sincere opinion. You know, it's basic Newton's law in physics, action and reaction. But as much as I don't want to, as I sit here, I don't have the full details. But what I believe is that let's assume there are areas that needed clarification. There are diplomatic back channels, because we are talking about to me, this is the head of the Nigerian military, for crying out loud.
And I think that point has been made, Honorable Minister, because I also see here on the front page of Daily Trust that the embassy is saying that they'll state their position. So we'll wait and see just what the position is and what precisely, could have led to what many Nigerians have regarded as an
No, but for me, as much as I agree with that, and I don't want to really stretch this, my position is that if there is mutual respect,
that shouldn't.
Exactly, there are back channels. You are talking about a chief of defense staff. You can reach out to the office or to foreign affairs. The foreign affairs interfaces on behalf of Nigeria with all embassies and consulates.
And in some instances, by now, the foreign minister would have been summoning the Canadian ambassador to find out what precisely
I'm pretty sure, knowing the Minister of Foreign Affairs for who he is, I'm sure a lot of work will be going on the back channel. And most diplomatic activities are not on the pages of newspaper.
Absolutely.
Most of them are via back channel. And I'm sure that the meetings are going on. And I want to know, because I know the Canadian government has always been very responsive to Nigerians, So this coming, maybe because, as you said, change of the policy, but whatever it is, the status of the CDS has not changed. He's not a former CDS. He is the present
and serving
So
CDS.
nothing has changed. But I believe as a country, the Minister of Foreign Affairs will take that diplomatic channel and resolve all these issues in the interest of Nigeria. But I'm happy that at least we have an opportunity to talk about this.
You heard that. Cry all you want. Nigeria has lost respect in the international community. We are talking about a country where the Air Force dropped a bomb on innocent community, killing many, and they said it was a mistake, only to repeat that same mistake 3 more times within 11 months. And nobody, not a single person, was punished for the so-called mistakes. A country where TINUBU extended the tenure of an Inspector General of Police that cannot account for 3,907 guns, mainly AK-47. And slowly, the matter is being swept under the carpet. You expect the rest of the world to respect your country with all these things going on right before their eyes. It is not possible. If Nigerians don't unite, if Nigerians don't rise to get rid of the APC, this country will gradually keep going down into the abyss until it will vanish into oblivion. And that takes me to my next video. Let's watch one of the leaders of coalition of political parties in Nigeria, Mr. Peter Ame, talking about what Nigerians should do to rescue the country in the coming months. See the video.
See, let's talk about opposition. You are talking about that opposition is not doing well. I'm telling you that the opposition is on the street. And even the opposition leaders knows themselves. And they are looking at the review. I've given you, I don't talk without putting statistics in front. When the APC was in government in 2023, a party without governor, the Labour Party, led by Peter Obi, had 44.5% in the entire vote cast in the South. TINUBU had about 35.5%. Atiku had 19.4%. Kwankwaso had less than 1%. That is 0.46%.
So aggregating this.
If you are aggregating this, you need to, what the opposition is doing, what I advise the opposition, is to form a coalition around the person that
Are they doing that?
Yeah, they have no choice. They have no choice because you need to form coalition around the person because you can be popular without being able to drive yourself to the ballot. There are people who have who have been accepted to be on the ballot. And
are there hope for such talks?
There's hope among Nigerians and there's hope among the opposition. This government is performance is angering a lot of people on the street. You have to go to the street and because this government is not living on data. And this government is not willing to go to the street and do voice populism, and so that they can know if the people are happy with the government of the day. The opposition is strong. The opposition is working. We cannot take the same route that the APC took in 2014 in trying to destabilize this country. It did every attempt to break this country into two because they wanted power for the purpose of grabbing it. They've grabbed power since 2015. Until today, we see the countries are continuing to nosedive. We must have an opposition that must be concrete enough, based on policy, based on the drive to be able to put Nigeria first and do whatever it takes to make Nigeria work.
You heard that. The solution to the problems of this country is to get in the right kind of leadership that can drive development and genuine progress. And in doing that, APC must not wield power at the center. I will say something that you may argue with, but believe me, it is true. If you change the ruling party in this country, you change the APC and you replace it with a party led by an honest man like Peter Obi, 50% of the problems in this country will be solved instantly. Why do I say instantly? I said that because the oil sector is responsible for over 50% of the corruption in Nigeria, and only the sitting president can expose and end the corruption in the oil sector. So if you get in a man like Peter Obi, I am telling you, within 3 months, he will end the corruption in that sector. But anyone else amongst these present political elites, I cannot vouch for. So Nigerians, use your tongue to count your teeth. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that protest over persistent insecurity in Zamfara. Residents burnt down the emir's palace. And next is that brutal update coming all the way from the United States. The Binance official that Nigeria unlawfully detained exposed RIBADU and how he wants TINUBU's job. He also exposed the lawmaker Philip Agbese and SSS over a $150 million attempted scam. Let's start by taking that update from Zamfara. Look at how the papers reported it. Protesting residents burn Emir's palace in Zamfara over rising terrorist attack, failure of security agencies, Sahara reporters. Some irate residents have set ablaze the palace of a traditional ruler, Emir of Maru in Maru local government area of Zamfara state. This was after security operatives disrupted their peaceful protest against terrorism on Thursday. Sahara reporters learned that the youth stormed the streets of the town to protest against the recent abduction of 10 people by terrorists ravaging the community. A community source told Sahara reporters that the terrorists stormed the town around 2 a.m. on Wednesday night and shot sporadically to create tension and fear in the people. Reporters learned that the bandits also kidnapped the chief imam of Maru Central Mosque, Alhaji Salisu Suleiman, along with his 2 wives and 7 children. They later abducted the imam and 9 others who are his family members during the attack, the community source said. The source added that it was the terrorist attack that enraged the residents, majorly youths, and they decided to protest and demand the prompt intervention of the government. The protesters blocked the movement of vehicles along the popular Sokoto-Gusau highway, and this made the security operatives to disrupt their public demonstration. The angry residents eventually went to the Emir's palace and set fire to a section of the building to indicate their unhappiness with the government's failure to protect them from bandit attacks. A video obtained by Sahara reporters showed a part of Emir's palace burning on Thursday. The voice in the video said, "This is a fire outbreak in Emir's palace." The incident highlights the growing frustration and desperation among residents in Zamfara state who feel that the government is not doing enough to address insecurity in the region. You saw that. When the sky falls, it is not one man's business. And some of these emirs collected huge bribes to bring TINUBU in. Now they must face the music. Many of them have been kidnapped and killed by bandits. Now their own citizens are turning on them. The propaganda of this government is aimed at giving a false impression that insecurity is not as bad as they met it. But if you are following the right news outlets, you will see that it is even worse now. And it will continue to deteriorate until the APC is kicked out. And Nigerians, in their reactions to that protest in Zamfara, began asking the people of Zamfara. They said, what is the positive impact of the Muslim ticket now? Absolutely none. What a shame. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that update from the Binance official who was unlawfully detained in Nigeria began making the rounds. Look at how the papers reported it. Binance executive names Nigerian lawmakers SSS in $150 million bribes, says NSA RIBADU wanted billions to fund presidential ambition. Tigran Gambrian, a Binance official held in detention for 8 months by Bola Tinubu's administration, says the State Security Service SSS was involved in Nigerian lawmakers' demand for $150 million from the cryptocurrency company, adding National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu wanted billions in payouts to fund his future political ambition. Mr. Gambrian disclosed this in a statement on his official X handle on Friday, explaining that the SSS asked them to comply with whatever the lawmakers instructed them to do. The DSS was involved in the House of Representatives matter, said Mr. Gambrian. We met with them at their office on Friday, January 5, 2024. As a prerequisite to our meeting with the House of Representatives, they alluded to the fact that we had to comply with whatever the House members instructed us to do. Mr. Gambrian named Philip Agbese, the lawmaker representing Ado Akpoku Ogbadibo, Federal Constituency, Pete Apanke, the lawmaker representing Bekwara Obudu, Obanliku Federal Constituency in Jinja Obinna, Unsibe, as the lawmakers who set up fake cameras to make the meeting appear official, only to demand bribe paid in cryptocurrency into their personal wallets from Binance. At the House meeting, there were 3 members present. 2 of them were Peter Akpanke and Philip Agbese, both working under the leadership of Ginger Obinna Nwusibe. There was a 3rd House member, but I don't recall his name. They set up fake cameras and media to make the meeting appear official, but the cameras weren't even plugged in. As you may already know, this ended with them asking for a $150 million bribe paid in cryptocurrency into their personal wallets, a Mickey Mouse operation at its best. Mr. Gambayan wrote, narrating Mr. Ribadu's involvement in his detention saga. Mr. Gambayan said Ribadu emphasized that he wanted billions in payouts to fund his future political ambition. However, when the corruption scandal came to light, he was trapped because any settlement would now be perceived as a bribe. I guess he really wanted his boss's job. Berating Mr. Ribadu, Mr. Gambayan said Ribadu overstepped his authority and embarrassed Nigeria in front of U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Ribadu, acting like a soul, angered the White House and led to diplomatic repercussions. The U.S. limited visas to the Nigerian delegation for UNGA, and Biden refused to meet with TINUBU until my situation was resolved. In the end, Ribadu overestimated his influence. They thought they could secure a quick win, but instead they created an international incident, exposing his incompetence on a global scale. Now, the things that this man said, if you look at them on the surface, they sounded too big, too weighty to be true. But then he referenced that the U.S. National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, is in on all these things he spoke about. So he couldn't have been lying. Even Joe Biden then was angry with the way the issue was handled. This is the extent that the Nigerian government have brought themselves. This is how low they have brought themselves. $150 million. Senators were asking for it. Set up fake cameras to make it look real, because they heard that there's so much money in cryptocurrency. They wanted to quickly collect their own share. So you think that these people that use their brain to make so much money, they'll be that foolish for you to just extort them? And Ribadu demanding billions from them over unfounded allegations, saying that it was Binance that made Naira to crash. What a shame. And we are discussing this issue here now on this channel. You should know that it is already everywhere in the world. In fact, these guys know more about it than us. And that is why Nigeria has no regard. They don't regard this country anymore in the international community. This is the shame that APC has brought upon this country. But I'm not surprised. The APC have come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. If the Chief of Defense Staff could be denied visa to Canada, you can imagine what the average Nigerian would be facing in the international scene when they want to get by in life. This is what the failure of governance has brought upon this country. And that is why I keep urging Nigerians that all these things that these people are doing, all of us will share of the consequences. And that is why we must all come together and ensure that we take our country back. Let us unite, keep our sentiments aside, and we can, if we will, take this country back. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news. We una go like. Why? Because now because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go away.